Paulo Costa.
This is Gourmet Chichen Head.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Fui desabalão.
Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
Apparently is going to fight Ikram Aliskerov. Now, Paulo Costa denies this, as Paulo Costa's been denying every single one of his teased fights since he beat Luke Rockhold in a bloody affair, a bloody savagery affair up there at altitude. Paulo Costa rumored to be fighting Ikram Aliskerov. What's interesting, right off the bat, before we get into any more of this story, it's not Chimaev. It's not the gourmet Chechen. Like, I feel like Chimaev hasn't fought at the time of this recording 13 months. Paulo Costa almost a year himself. He fought last summer. I mean, we're approaching June here, ladies and gentlemen. I feel like this whole year, the gourmet Chechen stuff. Now, it was more brewing early last year, right? In the fall, brewing. They got in a little altercation at the UFC PI, and they've been going back and forth on social media, Paulo Costa's appearances on various podcasts. I know it's died down in recent months, folks, but like, there's a storyline there. Is it Paulo ducking Chimaev? It doesn't sound like it. Is it a money issue? Like, what is going on here? Is Chimaev actually staying at welterweight? Is he not going up to middleweight? Oh, I don't know, folks, but that is the fight we all wanted to see, and that's the fight that seemingly both of these fighters wanted. Paulo Costa and the gourmet Chechen himself, Khamzat Chimaev, going from one of the most active fighters to a fighter on a 13-month plus layoff now. But instead, Ikram Aliskerov apparently is going to be the new opponent for Paulo Costa, if Paulo Costa ever signs the contract, because apparently he hasn't now. And I know Benjamin's like, he's putting his hands up right now. Isha, Paulo Costa said that he's not fighting. Before, again, we dive into that here in this segment, let's just take a quick look at both of these fighters. Ikram Aliskerov is not a bad fighter at all. If anything, he's a great prospect for the UFC. And I know he's 30 years of age, but yes, he's a UFC prospect, given that he just made his debut. 5 KO, TKO, 5 submissions, 3 decisions, plowed through his opponents on Contender Series, sent Phil Hawes to the Shadow Realm. Sousa, Kimura, out. Fought Eagle FC, Brave. He was a Brave darling. So he fought Chimaev in Brave. Round 1 loss. Watch the fight. He came out with a tremendous pace, and him and Chimaev went at it, mind you, for only half a round. But other than Chimaev, he's beaten all other of his opponents, and he hasn't fought too many cans. That's what I like about it. Now, obviously, like, there was a few fighters who weren't the best here, but if you look at his progression, it's not bad at all. This guy is the real deal James Neal, the hockey homies. You know what I'm talking about there. But is he too good of a wrestler and unwilling to box with Paulo Costa? Potentially. The Eraser, Borrachinha, Paulo Costa, 32 years old, so he's got 2 years on the Russian. 14-2, so similar records. Paulo Costa winning his last fight, coming off his 2-fight losing streak, defeating 6-2 in the UFC, 3-0 in jungle fights. Again, beating Luke Rockhold, lost to Vettori, the whole debacle there, and lost to the champion Israel Adesanya. Before then, beat Yoel Romero, Uriah Hall, Johnny Hendricks. I mean, went on an absolute tear. Now, his first 2 fights in the UFC, not cans by any means, but not the greatest fighters. Johnny Hendricks was on his decline.
I've been clean my whole entire life.
But Uriah Hall, at the time, Uriah Hall was legit. That was a great win. Yoel Romero, that was an absolute war, and that earned him the title shot against Israel Adesanya, who humbled him. Indeed, Vettori, again, he was not prepared for that fight, let's be perfectly honest. I think, honestly, him and Vettori would be an awesome fight if they ran that back, like both of them in shape, not drunk off the wine, not weight cut complications, not moving the weight limit. I think it would be a good fight because they both like to swang and bang. That'll stay on the feet. Dolidze gave it to Vettori. So, I mean, Paulo Costa, I think, healthy would as well. And then he defeated an aging Luke Rockhold, who Mike Perry made quit in BKFC due to chipping his tooth. Look, my gripe with this, and yes, I'm a Borrachinha fan, this is not the best matchup for him. A guy who can threaten on the ground as well. And I know Paulo Costa is apparently a black belt in jiu-jitsu, so he does have grappling, but that's not where he wants to spend his energy, grappling. He wants to utilize his energy, knocking mother to the Shadow Realm. I think it will start on the feet, again, if this fight even goes down. But if Paulo Costa hits Aliskerov hard and doesn't knock him out, and Aliskerov goes, okay, you do hit hard, he's not going to stand with him anymore. And I think that will lead to Borrachinha's demise. However, does Ikram Aliskerov deserve this fight? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Paulo Costa is top of the division. Aliskerov has had 1 UFC fight. And look, yeah, historically, there have been fighters who have come in, gotten 1 fight, and then boom, been given a title shot. I can only think of one off the top of my head. And folks, let me run it down for you. Anderson Silva came into the UFC. I mean, the UFC was very lucky to get him. And his first fight was against Chris Lieben. I get it. And we saw the evolution of MMA in that fight yet again, where this guy was on another level than Chris Lieben, who was in that first, or I guess the second wave, I should say, second or third wave, the post-Tough wave, the first wave after Tough, I should say. I want to remind you all that Chris Lieben was the top contender in the middleweight division at that time. I don't know if he was 1 or 2, but he was up there. He was one of the top contenders. That was a title eliminator fight. And it doesn't happen, but he dismantled Chris Lieben. He dismantled Chris Lieben. Okay? We all know how that fight went. And what did he do right after? Absolutely dismantled the champion, Rich Franklin. And even in the rematch, Richie Franklin had nothing for him. Shout out Rich Franklin, the math teacher. I mean, an absolute beauty now working with one championship. So, I mean, that's the biggest outlier that I can think of. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the live chat if there's another example that I'm missing. I don't think this guy should get special treatment just because he survived 2.5 minutes with Chimaev and actually made Chimaev sweat a little bit. It is a little dangerous. Don't get me wrong. I even admitted it's not a great matchup for Borrachinha, but Borrachinha had to earn his way up the ladder. He had to fight his way up the ladder, just like every good prospect coming into the promotion. Like, I love Brave. You telling me that other Brave fighters coming right from Brave to the UFC or Brave to Contender Series to the UFC are getting top contender fights after their first fight? No, I'm not going full Helwani on this topic, okay? If he had 2 more fights, even one, if he had 1 more fight and he, Anderson Silva'd, his next opponent, like what Anderson Silva did to Chris Lieben, fine. I'm not going to complain. I'm going to grind my teeth a little bit. I'm not going to complain. If you give him 2 fights and he dismantles his opponent, or even if they both go to decision and he wins, 100% give him, okay, the top 5, top 10, it's yours. Go. It's just very interesting that he's given this special treatment. Is the middleweight division just so stale right now that, Dana White, and I believe he actually admitted this, that they just have to inject some new talent, some new fighters into that division? That could be the case. There's no one else directly down the ladder? I guess not. I don't know. That's my only gripe with this. If it happens, I think it will be a good fight. I don't know how good Paulo Costa will fare utilizing his energy on the ground versus, like I said, on the feet. If this does go down, apparently now this one is going to be in Salt Lake City. How crazy is that going to be? Paulo Costa back in Salt Lake City, back at elevation. Will he have the edge on Aliskerov because he knows what the element provides there at elevation? Is that a stretch for me? Maybe, but just an interesting tidbit there. 1 year later, back at elevation, a Sambo world champ, a wrestling background. I don't know if that's a good matchup against Paulo Costa. Look, he's very good, and no disrespect to Aliskerov. Was he fast-tracked? Absolutely. Is he ready for Paulo? Potentially, because Paulo's not the most well-rounded guy. Is it fair? No. Will the elevation surprise Aliskerov? Will it be actually an asset, or will it be a positive, I guess, that Paulo Costa has experienced it before and can properly train for it this time? Let me know your thoughts in the live chat. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.